precursor to this, pre-warner to this. Virgil doesn't appear as much in this story, unfortunately, anymore, because of the fact that the police take over so much. But he does pop up every now and then, which is probably a bit of a reflection on his actual involvement that he was allowed to have at this point forwards. So, like I said that here, it would have been easy for Virgil to now wipe his hands of the whole mess and leave it to the police, but that's not our Virgil. He did continue to track down the killer. This is all off his own money as well now. His own investigation is from his money, because, like I said, the other one run out. He had no money from the case, from the people who came to him. Mm-hmm. So now he's just passionate as fuck. So he wants to find this guy.
But you would be though, wouldn't you?
If you've invested that much into it, So Virgil dispatched one of his own investigators, Bill Hillsley, who had been a state trooper for many years and knew the highways and byways of the Indianapolis area. He was to search the country suburbs. He searched high and low for somewhere that matched Tony's description, but with no success. Then, just as all hope seemed to be lost, Bill drove past a property sign at the end of a long driveway in Westfield marked Fox Hollow Farms.
Ooh.
He was aware of Tony Harris's statement about seeing a sign outside Brian's house that read something farms, and thought he'd investigate. The estate Bill came upon greatly resembled Tony's description. Large, rundown, and morbid. It sounds like a real spooky place, this house.
It sounds like the Addams Family house.
It does. I mean, we saw a picture of it last episode, and in the daylight, didn't look that bad. It looked really nice. But I can imagine of a nighttime, that would get very spooktacular.
Yeah, because he didn't have any lights on or anything, did he?
No. Very well. Even so, like even just like the one single light on this home at the end of a driveway, that would be creepy. So nobody seemed to be at home. So. The investigator Bill parked his car and had a look through several windows, hoping to catch sight of an indoor pool, or he was also trying to smell for chlorine as well, just kind of a little sniff. Knowing that he was stretching the legalities of his job, he didn't continue, but felt sure that this was the place that Tony had visited. So obviously, due to the fact that he didn't have a fucking warrant, he couldn't go prowling around the area. Yeah. He probably wasn't really meant to be peeking through windows either, but I don't know. Virgil had ordered aerial shots of the house, but when he took them to the police task force, Virgil's evidence was dismissed.
Why?
Virgil says that the police, that he felt at least, that the police were willing to ignore the evidence as they were kind of like, oh no, these are rich people. We don't bother the rich people. They would never do this. Which is fucking wrong, because it's always the rich people. They're the ones who hunt humans for sport, right? The most dangerous game of all.
Do they? I don't think they all do.
Yes,
no.
They say that a human is the most dangerous game of all, Alan.
Oh, okay.
I think that's a book actually called The Most Dangerous Game, where rich people hunt people for sport.
Really?
Yeah, it's a book. Not IRL, but
I'm not quite sure how to...
Oh, fuck off! I hate that fucking echo thing.
Yep, me too.
Okay, so sorry about that again. We should really turn that off before we start podcasting. So, thanks to the police, once again, Virgil's only lead was useless. Then, on August 29th, 1995, the case had its biggest breakthrough yet.
Oh, is it? Can I?
Yeah, take a guess. Take a wow guess.
Is this biggest breakthrough? Do you think it's that the guy who potentially committed suicide at the beginning of the first story?
Well, I know how this story goes, so I can't guess because I'll give you the answer.
That's what I think is going to lead to next.
You think this is going to be the guy who committed suicide at the start?
Yes.
Okay, well, let's see how this plays out. How much are you willing to bet on this?
My love for you.
You willing to give that up for this? Okay. So, Tony Harris was having a drink at the gay bar called the Varsity Lounge. It had been a while at this point since his traumatic poolside playdate, and his assistance with the investigation had dwindled somewhat, and he'd sort of just gone back to his normal life.
Okay.
Then, who should walk through the doors of the Varsity Lounge?
Ooh, Brian.
But the man Tony recognised as Brian Smart, yes. Tony plays it cool, not looking to be like, thirsty.
Yeah.
He's not a thirsty bitch. Brian walks over to him because he is thirsty. Clearly recognised him, and the two just sort of chatted for a while Brian had a couple of drinks. After an hour or so, Brian got into his truck and pulled out the bar to drive home. As he did, Tony made a note. 75237A.
Is that his reg?
Tony had just got Brian's license plate number.
Ooh.
Yes. The key piece of information that Murray wanted. Tony took the information to Virgil and Mary, who'd been struggling for months for another hard lead. But I don't know why I found that funny. Hard lead. Am I thirsty today? Because I'm being very frisky. Both of them were super happy. It's an understatement. I don't know why I wrote that. They were super happy. I'm pretty sure they slow motioned high five is the note that I wrote here. Why? I must have had a lot of coffee right in this. Mary used her connections in the police to run the license plate number through a database. What they found will shock and amaze you, Alan. The plate number 75237A belonged not to anyone named Brian Smart, but to a Herbert R. Baumeister.
Ooh.
A quick search. Why have I wrote this? This is crazy. I put a quick search on Ask Jeeves. They did not use Ask Jeeves.
Maybe they must have done.
No, I did not. I think I improv'd that line. They definitely did not do that. Because I put a question mark. I don't know. Fuck. This is what happens when you write scripts like either late at night or on a lot of coffee.
I love That's Jeeves.
I know. I'm glad he died. So a quick search online shown that Herbert Baumeister lived in the manor house at Fox Hollow Farms that Mary and Virgil had their eyes on a few months back. So these two things came together quite nicely for them. Mm-hmm. They were pretty confident in the evidence that they had. Mary and her boss, Lieutenant Thomas Green, approached Herbert at his Washington Street store on November 1st after staking him out for a little bit. Now, they get really direct with him. They just tell it how it is.
Really?
Yeah.
Isn't that like...
sort of compromising the investigation? Maybe. I don't know. But Mary's been in the missing crimes people. She's a badass. She's been in this occupation for a long time. She knows what she's doing. So Mary, I've wrote down here again, being the total badass detective she is, told Herbert straight away while they were there. So she pretty much is just like, look, got a whole shit ton of queens who've gone missing. We think it might be you. I want to search your home, you spooky bastard.
With that, though, would they have to put some sort of protection on that Tony guy?
Maybe, but I think that's probably why he didn't use his real name. That might be the protection, right? But there could be a number of reasons why that would have happened. He wouldn't know for sure that it's him, anyway. Plus, so far, there's been nothing to indicate that he's the kind of person who would just run after someone like that and try and suck him out. Maybe they did put him in protection for a short while. I don't know. That wasn't stated. But of course, Herbert refused the search of his home, as you would if you were a crazy killer and killing people in your home. Not to be outdone, though, by Herbert's refusal, Mary attempted to out-angle him. She approached Julie, his wife. As she was the co-owner of Fox Hollow Farms, she could actually legally authorise a ground search of the property. But Mary found Julie to be just as stubborn as Herbert had. Herbert had actually, in the past, previously, unknown to Mary at the time, Herbert had told Julie that he was being falsely accused of theft and, if approached, to not under any circumstances allow the police to conduct a search. So he had sort of covered his bases a little bit with that. Which for me would, if I was the wife, I would be seeing red flags everywhere.
Definitely.
But she didn't anyway. That's just the deal. So when Murray confided in his wife, explaining the real reason for their inquest, Julie apparently looked at Mary, quote unquote, as if she just dropped a nuclear bomb in her lap. Apparently, when she recovered enough to speak again, she informed Mary that they could not search her home. She was polite, but still stunned, almost beyond words.
Okay.
Mary gave Julie her card, though, and urged her to call if she ever did change her mind. Apparently, the police knew that Julie's refusal wasn't an indication of her guilt or her partaking in any of the crime. It was just, apparently, Mary says this was a typical reaction of a wife who denies she's wedded someone with such a dark side. So it's probably a lot of denial going on by the sounds of things for her, which is understandable. You've got kids and you got this home and you just don't want to think that you could, the person you're spending your life with and spend those years with would be possible in that.
Well, I think only having sex like 6 times in the whole relationship for 20-something years, wasn't it?
Again, red flag, baby. But I don't know. She sounds like she was a nice lady. Yeah. So, again, a bit of naivety, a bit of, a lot of fucking denial, which is, it's such a shame on the family.
Yeah.
It really is. They're kind of, victims as well in this.
Yeah, definitely.
It wasn't until June of 1996, this is after 6 months of Mary initially going to her home, that Julie finally came to her senses. Over that time, her husband had become a paranoid wreck, so Herbert started becoming very strange. The Children's Bureau, who were the ones who funded the Save-A-Lot stores, they ended the contract with the stores. So the stores were going down, they were losing money big time. Herbert was being very paranoid and weird, and obviously very depressed and bizarre over the stores cancelling. Home life for Julie was now intolerable. Both she and Herbert had initiated separate divorce proceedings, and her mind had continued through it all to replay the doubts about Herbert's sanity that Mary had fed into her consciousness the other day. On June 23rd, Julie called her lawyer, Bill Wendling, and told him to get in touch with Mary Wilson. When Mary picked up the phone, Julie was eager to talk, specifically about the bones she'd found in her backyard.
What, in them 6 months? Or did you find them in them 6 months where it's just progressed?
That is part 2.
Don't do that to me.
No, this is the deal. 2 years earlier, 2 years earlier, her son Eric had found a skeleton. The reason that she hadn't notified the authorities initially was because she had believed Herbert's story about the bones just being a dissecting skeleton, like one of the ones you get in science class.
Yeah.
His recent actions, however, had filled her with doubts. She, for some reason, believed this bullshit story that this skeleton that was buried in the back garden was just like a prop type skeleton.
Again, naivety, I think.
Naivety, maybe, but I think that's a fucking hell of a lot of denial going on there with that one.
It is definitely a bit of both. It's because, like, the fact that she loves her husband, he's not going to do anything bad.
No, and 2 years ago, she probably didn't, apart from the lack of sex, she probably just, she hadn't had any reason to doubt him, I guess, so it's there. At first glance, the yard looked normal, but as the police moved in and began to dig through the patches of dirt just beyond the back patio, they encountered a bone about a foot long. It was charred from having been burnt. At first, they weren't sure if it was human, Then, as the men stood in the pit of dirt they'd created around themselves, they were overcome by the sheer number of strange pebbles and rocks sticking out all over the place. But as their eyes focused, the men quickly realized that these weren't pebbles and rocks, but instead